Sean here with BaseMint Comics. It is Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. Initially, I thought I wasn't going to be able to make a video today, but looks like my last meeting of the day got canceled, so I will have time between now and what we have planned later on in the evening. So, as per usual, before we hit the trails, I'm going to talk about books that I liked and a book that I really didn't like before we get going. So as far as what my favorite book of last week was, Amazing Spider-Man number 981. I don't check in too much with the internet comics community. I mean, there's a couple podcasts that I listen to and a few channels that I enjoy. You know, lots of those channels that I enjoy tend to talk about, sort of everyone kind of talks about whatever the hot book is, I guess, you know, Absolute, Batman, something called Brook Exodus, stuff I have no idea about because I'm pretty much just a Marvel guy, always have been a Marvel guy, and, you know, it is what it is. So I don't hear too much chatter about Amazing Spider-Man, and when I do, it seems not happy about it, and I've been enjoying kind of the back and forth of like we get you know, Norman as Spider-Man and we're getting Ben as Peter while you know, Peter has been punched into space. So this issue, you know, back with Pepe Larraz's art, and I have been a fan of his since the very beginning. You can't see it, it's kind of out of frame, but when he was doing his first run of X-Force with like little Cable, I think it's signed by him, and it says he complimented my hair, and it was signed in, so it was pre-COVID when I met him, long before he had, it was the day that Krakoa was announced, because I was actually like the last person to talk to Hickman before he left his table to go and announce the Krakoa era. So been a fan of Pepe Larraz's for a very long time. I'm happy that he is on Spider-Man. I think his art has a cool like fluid quality to it that you know, works well with Spider-Man. So obviously this issue is dealing with Spider-Man in space, and the gang that he is with, Rocket Raccoon, Xanto Starblood, Raylith, I think is how you would say it, Raylith the Wretched, and Symbi, the little symbiote. They have been like stranded on a planet. It turns out it's one of their own people that has done that because he enjoys the gang and doesn't want it to end. So Pete and Raylith, clearly there is something brewing between the two of them, which is kind of nice to see. I mean, I'm firmly in the camp of believing that Peter could have stayed married to MJ and we all could have grown up with Peter, especially now that they've introduced so many other Spider people, and you could have the younger aspect with Miles. It's kind of a missed opportunity, and now I think they're just keeping the two of them separated just to annoy us. But it is what it is, and I'm enjoying Peter with Raylith, the Wicked. So then they're kind of like walking through this planet that they're stranded on, kind of like getting a lay of the land and chatting about what is going on between the two of them, when like the Herald of Hellgate shows up to talk to Peter, and Raylith immediately like bows down to it, and it is clearly established that Raylith is from the place that Hellgate is, and so the Herald is not being incredibly nice to her. This bums Peter out, and so a battle ensues. It's pretty great. Your B story is Rocket trying to figure out who sabotaged the ship and how they're going to get off this planet. And during this fight, it sort of cuts to a pretty traumatic memory that Peter accesses about something that happened to some kids in his neighborhood at the hands of what everyone thought was a decent man, but turned out to not be. And Peter had caught wind of this, but didn't tell an adult, and so Ben is kind of expressing like integrity and like, if you see something, say something. And so kind of Pete is sort of relaying this message to Rayleigh to get her to finally attack the Herald of Hellgate. And for me, like, it was really nice to see like an unseen Ben and Peter moment. And see Ben in like this story that Peter tells her, this tale of Ben teaching him about integrity, like gets her to act. And so it was kind of nice after all these years of Spider-Man stories to see Ben have an impact on a new character that's never met him. And like having lost people, all of us have, you know, and I know that I've struggled sometimes with recognizing that, like, at a certain point, there's going to be certain people in our lives that are just, you know, lost to time eventually when you start to, like, age out of generations that knew this person. It'll eventually, you know, fade away. So it was nice to see this moment where, like, a pivotal moment between Ben and Peter affect a character in the Marvel Universe that's new. It was nice. It's like it touched me. So obviously she has a very pretty badass moment where she finally stands up and fights, and it was a, you know, like a cheering moment. I was very excited about it. And then she kind of drags a beat up Peter back to the beach where the rest of the team is, kind of sitting around a fire, figuring out the ship. And he basically explains it's time to go home. So clearly Peter is now inspired by Ben to come back to Earth and no longer hide and take on Hellgate. And so, yeah, it's been a blast. Like, I'm really enjoying Joe Kelly's run on Spider-Man. Had no doubts that I would, but it is very nice to be proven correct in my estimation that he was going to be kicking butt on the title. Let's see. Unbreakable X-Men was, you know, it's one of the better of the Age of Revelation titles for me. It wasn't great, but it did touch on some of the stuff in Uncanny X-Men that I've been enjoying, and I'm just kind of happy for this event to be over. The thing that I was irritated with was long shots. This was awful. And everyone involved, Hickman, Duggan, everybody should have known better. And it really, like, characters were just absolutely written out of character. Like, I am so tight. Like, I grew up in the time period where, like, Bishop was sort of like a brand new character. And I love that character. Okay. And the time displaced, like, cop thing is awesome, and him kind of having a reverence for the X-Men was great at that time. I was not happy with what they did in making him go after Hope. I just didn't like that, and I thought it couldn't get worse. And then Long Shots came out, and it's like he's making catchphrases, and this is just bad. This is bad in an event that's already bad, where it just feels like they're treading water to try and find what their next move is going to be. And they're like, here, let's pump out all these minis that don't really have a through line, and let's make this one with a really great creative team. Like, Jonathan Hickman and Gary Duggan are great writers. Like, I have enjoyed everything that they've, like, and Duggan can do, like, a comedy thing. His most recent, it was only like 10 or 12 issues tops, unfortunately, but his most recent run on West Coast Avengers was like a ton of fun. And this was not it. This felt like they were, like, laughing in my face. Like, they were like, look at the idiot who spent $5 a pop on this, and we're just basically going to talk about what an idiot he is to his face. So, joke's on me, I guess. Yeah, and so there you have it. There was one book where I was like, man, this is hitting every comic booky note that I want it to. And then there was one where it was like, blah, comics, they'll break your heart, kid. Jack Kirby. So those are the books from last week. I actually enjoyed the wrap up to Iron and Frost and Sinister Six more than I did the previous 2 issues of those titles. So it feels like the last titles are kind of tying it into what the event is actually about. But unfortunately for me, it's a little bit too little too late. Like, just going to be happy when we're back to the normal universe. All right. So now we're going to hit the trails, head up to the comic book shop, pick up our new books. So get ready to take a ride with us. All right, so we are back from the bike ride up to our comic book shop. It was a good one. Temps are kind of rising above normal, so I've got my fingers crossed that the snow that we have is gonna last until Christmas, because I think it would be a real bummer to get this much snow and have these bitterly cold temperatures that we've been dealing with for the past 3 weeks and then lose it right before Christmas. That would stink. So fingers crossed that some of the snow stays for Christmas. I know nobody tunes in for the weather, but I bike every day, so it's important to me. Anyways, so we headed up to the shop, threw some snowballs, listened to some Christmas jams. It was a good time. And now we are back to talk about this week's comics, and it was a big week. And I got some back issues, so let's get into it. First up, The Avengers, number 799. 1 issue away from the big 800th return of Brian Michael Bendis celebration. I don't want to flip too much into this, because it's just big, fun space comic stuff, and I'm enjoying it. I say this, I don't hear too many people talking about it. It seems like everybody else is talking about the Absolute Universe and the Ultimate Universe, and that's great. I, too, was alive during the year 2000. I remember it. But I'm sticking with my normal universe. I will say this. I read probably like the first 14 issues, maybe first year of Ultimate Spider-Man by Jonathan Hickman, and I really enjoyed it. But I wound up selling those issues because I had a feeling, like, there was a part of me where I was like, they're just going to put this in a big collection, and I can buy a big collection if I hear that it's great. And that's what I did. So, but I have been enjoying Jed MacKay's run on Avengers. I don't hear too much chatter about it, so I'm curious if I'm in the menu. Is anybody in the comments, are you enjoying any of these titles, or are you sticking with what seems to be the top 10, Geiger and Rook Exodus and a Transformers book by a guy named Daniel Warren Johnson? I don't know, that's what everybody seems to be into, but I'm over here like, hey, I like this issue of Avengers. That's me. You know what else I'm loving? The Mortal Thor. Really dug the Immortal Thor before this, and so far the first 4 issues of this have been a lot of fun. Last issue didn't have any Thor in it. It was dealing with his alternate reality son and Ulik the Troll, which is always a good time for me. But this one, clearly, we've got Pasquale Ferry back on art, and I think he's fantastic for this Thor book. So I'm looking forward to reading this, and happy that we're back dealing with the main hero of the book. A book that I did not have on my pull list normally, but added it after reading issue number 1, was Daredevil Punisher number 2. Really enjoyed the first issue. Looking forward to the second issue. Happy to have a Daredevil and a Punisher book that I'm enjoying. I'm looking forward to the new run of Daredevil, but I was not impressed at all with the last run of Daredevil, so I dropped that. So this was like, hey, I get a Daredevil book before the new Daredevil comes out. So there's that. Black Cat number 5. Yep, Black Cat number 5. This has been a blast. Like, I still laugh at, like, this all sort of happened perfectly at a time period where, like, I had just hit the point in Corner Box Classics where I was reading the first appearance of Felicia, like getting to know that character's origins, her dad, and it kind of timed up with, in this Avengers story, she had shown up in that to do a time heist with Kang, and then this was announced, and I was like, but I wound up picking it up, and it has been an absolute blast. Art's really fun, and it's just G. Willow Wilson. I've never read anything. I didn't read Miss Marvel, but this, like, these first 4 issues of this has made me want to go back and pick up that original Miss Marvel run. So this is really good. If you're not getting this, you should be. You should be. Another book that I am absolutely loving, because I am a sucker for alternate realities. You give me a cast of offbeat weirdos from alternate realities. Plus, it's like alternate reality stories. It's great because in our regular universe, you kind of know the stakes. Like, like, they're probably not going to kill off Spider-Man in this issue of Spider-Man. But on Battleworld, all bets are off. So this has been a blast. Christos Gage is a great writer. I don't want to flip too much into it because I don't want any spoilers. But one of the things that I really love is in these, like Avengers Forever did the same thing. Kurt Busiek's Avengers Forever from decades ago now, where they kind of give you these, like, hey, every reference in here is kind of pinpointed into the background. If you hear a lot of jumping, Henry is absolutely enamored with Winnie the Pooh right now, so he has been going full Tigger all the time, and I guarantee you right now something is happening where he is bouncing around the house like a maniac. Another book that I have absolutely been loving, it is last year there was a Spider-Man miniseries called Shadow of the Green Goblin, and it was one of my favorite books of last year. Just so good and so nice to have like that. I am loving, so this is not a slam on the main Amazing Spider-Man book because I'm really enjoying it, but there is something about Amazing Spider-Man Torn that scratches an itch that I need, which is that gang, like the old gang of Peter's friends. It's such an integral part of his character, having the people in his life. They're almost at times just as, if not more interesting in the books, particularly in the classics, than Peter himself. And so this has been a fun, I tend to call these like types of things like Between the Raindrops, because it's kind of trying to fit into continuity without messing up continuity. And this has been a blast, just like Shadows of the Green Goblin last year. If you haven't read that, I would highly recommend picking up a trade of that one and jumping on board with Spider-Man Torn. Next is me recognizing that I am the problem because it's all Age of Revelation. But hey, I bought into it. I pre-ordered them from my shop. I'm not going to stick my shop with a book that I'm not particularly enjoying. If I pre-ordered it, I got to get it. That's how it is. That's what you got to do. Last Wolverine, I've been enjoying more than the other ones. Omega Kids, I never thought I would feel bad for Quentin Quire, because not the biggest Quentin Quire fan in the world, but this issue has sort of done it. Radioactive Spider-Man is interesting. I like seeing Dr. Cecilia Reyes. I'm trying to find nice things to say about some of these titles. I can't say any. Rogue somehow got split, so in Unbreakable X-Men, she's a statue, and then in this one, she's a... And Book of Revelation, I actually liked issue number 2. This character, this chorister, or whatever she's called, kind of figuring out that Revelation isn't a good guy, was interesting to me. But overall, like, man, I tell you, here's the issue. If I was a kid today, like I was back in the day, getting into X-Men books at a time period when they were fantastic, and this was what I was given, I absolutely understand why they gotta right the ship on the X-Men. They have to. I will say it. I will scream it from the rooftops. This should have just been done in the main X-Men title, the Jed MacKay Stegman one. It should have been 3 issues of Cyclops going into the future, seeing that they fail again, and realizing that they need to be united. The X-Men need to stop, knock it off with splitting them up and they're on this side, and they're on this side. I'm sick and tired of the X-Men fighting. I hate it. I hate it. I want my good guys to punch bad guys. That's what I want. That's what I want. Give it to me. So those are the new books that I picked up. Then I was like, hey, check that out. And there was a book up on the wall, and it was X-Men 67. And I had picked up last week, if you recall, a couple of these, like, my X-Men collection stops at 65 or 66. I can't see the 66, 65 is it's Hulk's on the cover. And then I don't jump back. I didn't get any of these because they're just reprints with new covers. And I believe that my X-Men collection is complete without these because I have this story. And the story is what matters. However, finding these raggedy ass copies, this one, I mean, the spine is split and there's tape. And it was clearly like I paid... This has got tape all over it prices. But I don't care, because that's got a cover where the Juggernaut just gave the Human Torch an uppercut. That's awesome. I'm all about that. Then I was looking at this one's falling apart, but I love it. 73, when they take on El Tigre. 74, that's a pretty cool cover. And then 85. And all of these were well within my very limited comic book budget. And I was pretty happy to pick them up because they're still cool covers. And if I can fill that reprint run cheap, like, I'm not paying classic Silver Age prices for these books. And I don't even care that, like, this looks like some kid picked it up off of a candy shop rack in 1967, watered it up in his back pocket, and pedaled home on his bicycle. And that is right up my alley. I love it. I want comic books with character. Like, sometimes we're going to go on a little tangent here. I have at times have issues where they will have filled out like a subscription card in the back, you know, with their name and address and all. And I will, this is probably weird. I probably shouldn't say this. I have often at times even like looked up if like someone has a name like written in the comic book, I'll like look it up and see if they're still around. If they're still, like, does their social media presence give off any indication that they stuck with it? Or were they like, nah, I'm done with comics? I find that fascinating. Like, the history of who owned these before me is fascinating to me. Like, how they got to me is like, it's just interesting to me. So, you know, they don't have to be 9.8 and slabbed in comic book coffins. I want to be able to look through them. I want to see, like, did some kid trace this? Did he cut out characters? He didn't, thankfully. But did he cut out characters to make paper dolls because there weren't action figures back then? I want to know that type of stuff. I dig that. That's part of the fun. Anyways, so those are the books that I picked up this week. I got a split because we are taking Hank to his very first Detroit Red Wings hockey game tonight, and it's going to be interesting. We're like super close to the ice, which my wife and I have never been, so we're taking a gamble. We were like, do we not take him and just enjoy ourselves? And then my wife is a huge hockey fan, so she was definitely thinking, let's not take him, let's just you and I have. And I was like, no, man, the gifts were the tickets were a gift for Christmas. And I was like, we gotta take him. We gotta, you know. And if he's not into it, then I'm the one walking around the concourse while she bangs the glass. Anyways, I will be back this weekend with something. I don't know. Probably going to be Christmas themed. Might even toss some Christmas music in there, which is going to get copyrighted, which is hilarious to me because nobody's watching. This is all for me. So I think I have some comic book Christmas stuff on deck. And then, yeah, next week's new comic book day is Christmas Eve, which is super exciting. So let's all get in the Christmas spirit. Grab some eggnog and get ready for something this weekend that will be somewhat Christmassy. So, you know, like, comment, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I really would. I know I say that every time, but like every time there's like a new subscriber, I'm like, hooray. So, yeah, thanks for taking this ride with us, and we'll be back this weekend. Bye.